The encore had just ended. Willie Nelson was walking off stage, the specific walk of a performer who has given everything and is now moving through the warm-down of a show well played. The transition from stage to backstage that his body knew after 40 years. The crowd was still applauding behind him. He raised a hand without turning back, the acknowledgement of a man who has learned to receive appreciation without being stopped by it. He was 3 steps from the stage entrance when he saw the commotion at the barrier. 2 security guards, both young, both following protocol, were moving a man away from the stage access point. The man was not aggressive, he was not causing a scene, he was simply resisting the direction of movement, not violently, but with the quiet persistence of someone who has a reason to be somewhere and is having difficulty communicating that reason to people who have not asked to hear it. He was carrying a guitar case. Old, battered. The kind of case that has been on many floors in many years and has the scuffs and broken latches to prove it. He was perhaps 70 years old, slight, gray, wearing a plain jacket. The guards were polite. The guards were firm. The guards were doing their jobs correctly. Willie Nelson stopped walking. "Hold on," he said. The guards looked up. The man looked up. Willie walked back to the barrier. He looked at the man, at the case, at the guards. "Let him in," Willie said. One guard started to speak. The protocol, the access credentials required, the liability of unauthorized personnel. Willie held up one hand. "Let him in." His voice carried the particular quality of someone who is not interested in argument. Not rude, not aggressive, just clear. The guards stepped back. Willie looked at the man. "Come on," he said. The man came. His name was Henry Marsh. He was 68 years old. He had been a working musician for most of his adult life. Not famous, never close to famous. The kind of musician who plays bars and church halls and local festivals in a small Texas town for people who appreciate it, and some who don't notice. He had driven 4 hours to be here tonight. Not for the show. For this. For the moment after the show when he might have one chance to ask for something he had been carrying for 30 years. Willie brought Henry backstage. The crew watched this happen with the particular expression of people who have worked with Willie Nelson long enough to have stopped being surprised by the unpredictable and have instead developed a kind of watchful appreciation for it. They found a space off stage, a quiet corner, a couple of chairs, the ambient noise of the venue emptying around them. Henry set down the guitar case. He opened it. Inside was a guitar, not Trigger, not anything close to Trigger in terms of condition or value. A battered acoustic, old enough to predate the manufacturing standards that would have kept it together better. Repaired with what appeared to be a combination of glue, tape, and decisions that a luthier would not recommend. Still strung, still tunable, barely. "My father's," Henry said. He didn't say anything else immediately. Willie looked at the guitar. He looked at Henry. "Tell me," Willie said. Henry told him. His father had been a musician in the same small Texas tradition. Bars and church halls and local festivals. Never famous. He had loved Willie Nelson's music with the specific love of a musician who hears another musician and understands, at a technical and human level, what the music is doing and why. His father had died 3 years ago. He had left Henry the guitar. "He always wanted to hear you play it," Henry said. His voice was steady. the voice of a man who has rehearsed this sentence for a long time and is finally saying it. He always said, "If I ever got the chance, if you ever had a guitar that needed playing." He stopped. "He didn't make it to any of your shows. We always meant to come. There was always something. Work, money, time. You know how it is." Willie Nelson said nothing for a moment. He looked at the guitar, at the repairs, at the way it had been maintained. Not because it was valuable, but because it was his father's, and his father had loved it. He reached out. "May I?" Henry nodded. Willie Nelson lifted the guitar from the case. He held it the way musicians hold instruments, not delicately, not with the performance of reverence, but with the familiar confidence of someone who has held thousands of guitars and knows immediately what an instrument needs. He found the tuning. It took a moment. The guitar needed patience. The crew nearby went quiet without being asked. Willie played a chord. The guitar was old and slightly imperfect, and the tone was what it was. Not trigger, not anything close, just an old guitar played by hands that knew what they were doing. Willie began to play a song. Not a famous one, not a radio song. An old song. The kind of song that exists in the space between what's recorded and what's just played. The songs that musicians have always played for each other in back rooms and after hours when the public part of the night is over. Henry Marsh sat in his chair and listened to Willie Nelson play his father's guitar. His face was still. The specific stillness of a person receiving something they have needed for a long time. Not crying, not performing the emotion. Just there, just receiving. When Willie finished, the quiet held for a moment. Then he laid the guitar gently back in its case. He looked at Henry. "Your father played this?" he asked. "Yes." Willie nodded. "Then it's a good guitar," he said. Henry Marsh closed the case. He sat with it for a moment. "Thank you," he said. And then something else came, something he hadn't planned to say. He would have... He stopped, started again. He would have sat right where I'm sitting. And he would have looked at that guitar in your hands. And he would have been very quiet for a minute. And then he would have said, "That's what music is for." Willie Nelson looked at this man, at the closed guitar case, at the 30-year-old request finally answered. "Yeah," Willie said. "That's exactly what it's for." Henry Marsh drove 4 hours home that night, with his father's guitar in the back seat, with Willie Nelson's hands still, in some sense, on the strings. The show had ended an hour ago, but something had just finished that had been waiting 30 years to be done.